Hi, welcome back. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a comment down below. I hadn't planned on making a second video on this subject. I try to avoid talking about restaurants, but something came up today, and I have to talk about this because I think there are a lot of things that people are missing about what's going on currently in the restaurant industry. We all know that the restaurant industry is in trouble, but some of us have known it for a very, very long time. Now, there was a report that came out today. They were talking about the fact that McDonald's sales are basically collapsing. Now, the report said, it's kind of alluding to the fact, there are a lot of reports about how certain stores are closing, certain retail stores are closing, restaurants are closing, car dealerships are closing. All these things are closing, right? Everybody's going out of business. The world is going to end. We're in a recession. It's going to be a depression. People are going to lose millions of jobs, blah, 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 blah. All of that is true, oddly enough. But the funny part is not funny. There's nothing funny about any of this. But what's actually going on is a combination of things. And it's not all to do with the economy, just so you know. Let's use McDonald's as one example. But then you can take that example and you can apply it essentially to the entire restaurant industry, certainly nationwide and maybe even worldwide. So, number one, in the case of McDonald's, there is a demographic shift that's going on in the United States currently. Now, there's two reasons for the. First of all, it's a population shift as far as there are many more old people and far fewer young people. The young people that are left are not going to McDonald's. They have moved on from McDonald's. Their parents have moved on from McDonald's. So the only demographic left, for the most part, I'm using generalities here, so don't go screaming at me saying, I saw a family with young kids in McDonald's the other day. Of course you did, but I'm saying the overall picture. The demographic is changing. McDonald's is not the hottest thing anymore. In fact, in certain areas, Chick-fil-A is the hottest thing. So Chick-fil-A is doing really good. So a lot of the business McDonald's is losing has actually gone to Chick-fil-A. Now, the other thing that's going on, number two, is basically it is expensive now to go to any restaurant. I don't care if it's McDonald's or if it's the highest, class, high-end restaurant. Doesn't matter. It's extremely expensive. So all groups of people, meaning people who are poorer and people who are richer, are not spending as much money outside of their home. Now, a lot of the people on YouTube, they constantly, immediately go, well, lower income people can't afford this. That's true. Lower income people could never afford it. But I want you to understand something. Don't think that just because people are rich, they spend their money stupidly. They don't. In fact, quite the opposite. So, not alone do you have people struggling to pay at places like McDonald's, but you have everybody watching their money right now. So that's number two. Number three is, when was the last time you saw the foods available in your grocery store? I mean, when was the last time you went to a gas station and saw that they have 10 different types of pizza now? Some of them have basically full buffets, and it's very, very, very inexpensive. So, frankly, people have shifted their buying habits. Don't tell me that people are eating less because they have no money. That's not true. They're just doing it in different places. And they have to do it in different places because fast food restaurants and every restaurant is really expensive. And I remember I laughed about this when they started talking about minimum wage. Everybody in McDonald's should be getting paid $15 an hour. I was always for $15 an hour. But as a person in the restaurant industry, there's one thing I always realized. You don't want to pay $20 for a hamburger. So I love when people say, well, these people should be getting paid more money. And my first question is, are you willing to pay double for what you're buying right now? Well, no. Well, how the hell do you expect them to pay all this money to people if you're not willing to pay the price? And why can't you pay the price? Because your salary hasn't gone up. So people are shifting. They're finding different ways to spend money. They're looking for better deals. Not necessarily because they're broke, although many people are, but it's because they are wiser. They are smarter, wiser, and they are much more cognizant of how they spend money. So that's another part of this. The other thing that people are factoring in is home delivery. You can get everything delivered to your home right now. Everything. And obviously food is a big part of that. So people are opting sometimes to have, I'm around a lot of people who work from home. And rather than even go out to grab something quick for lunch, it's easier and in many ways it's cheaper for them to just order food and have it delivered to their house. The other nice thing about that is they have a nice variety of foods that they can order. You can, like I said, you can order everything. I mean, you remember back in the day, there were only two things you would ever have delivered to your house. That would be Chinese food and pizza. And basically, you didn't order anything. I mean, you ordered other things, but for the most part, pizza was really the big one, right? Still is. But now you can order anything. You can order Chipotle, you can order Cava, you can order, Chick-fil-A, you can order McDonald's, you can have it all delivered to your house. So that's another thing that's happening. And the love of people going into retail and purchasing things has changed because, sad to say, customer service sucks. And it sucks in most retail stores. I don't care if you're in McDonald's, I don't care if you're in Target, if you're in Walmart, if you're in your local gas station. It doesn't matter where you go. We are just not friendly anymore. We're not. And by the way, the places that are thriving are the places that give the best service. And they are fewer and fewer and fewer and far between. The other thing is there is a stigma now around working in a McDonald's, or certainly working in the restaurant business, period, because people see it as a dead-end job. It used to be a lucrative job. People used to want to get into retail as a career. People used to want to go and work in restaurants because their dream was owning a restaurant or becoming a manager. I remember a time when getting a job as a manager at McDonald's was a really, really good job. You got benefits, you got retirement, you got all these different things. Nobody wants to do that anymore. You know what? They're making more money on YouTube. They're making more money doing DoorDash. They're making more money doing Uber or Lyft. And you know what? If they're delivering something, if they're doing Uber Eats, or if they're doing DoorDash, or if they're doing whatever the one that Walmart has for home delivery of goods, you don't even have to deal with people because people are tough to deal with. The other thing that's going on here is tipflation. People are sick of tipping. And the whole tipping thing became really, really, really abused. Like, you can't go anywhere now and not be asked for a tip. I swear to God, one day you're going to get on a plane and the pilot is going to come pass the hat around or flip the screen around, right at the cockpit door and ask for a tip. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I want everybody to get tips. I get that. But tipping used to be for full service people. People, you went in, you sat at a table, a person came over, they took your order, they were nice to you, they were kind to you, they played with your children, they knew your name, they knew your wife's name, they knew your husband's name, they knew your grandparents' name. It was a different world back then. The service was good, the service was attentive, the service was better. Now they expect you to give them the same tip if they just give you a cup of coffee. And I'm sorry, but I've never agreed with that. And I have nothing against people who get those tips in coffee shops or whatever it is. But it's never been a thing. I'm sorry. And people are adding it all up and they're saying, wait a second, do I need to spend this money? This is ridiculous. Even if people add in the cost of DoorDash and having it delivered to their house, it's still cheaper than going in and having a soda, which is $3 or $4, and then you add a tip on top of that. It's cheaper for them to DoorDash to their house. Or, like I said, to go to the gas station, or to go to Whole Foods, or to go to Publix, or one of these other grocery stores. It doesn't have to be Whole Foods. Whole Foods, by the way, is no longer expensive. That's a big giant myth. Ever since Amazon took it over, I go to Whole Foods all the time. It's priced, some things are actually priced less than Publix. And Publix, I only say Publix because it's a nice store. There are many stores. There's Food Lion and there's Safeway in other cities. There's different things you can do. But the point is, people are looking for alternatives. Easy for me to say. They're not eating less. The other thing that's going on is up on the high end of the market. Now, Starbucks are now complaining that their sales are not what they used to be. Well, of course not. I never got that at all. Starbucks became a status thing. Most people, have you ever had a cup of Starbucks coffee? Black? It's disgusting. It's one of the most disgusting brands of coffee that exists today. That's why I've never liked Starbucks, because I've never been into the whole thing that you have to order. It has 15 different names before you actually get the order off the top of your lips. I think it cracks me up. And you know what I think? Of course it cracks me up, but I think that people actually thought that it made them more intelligent by ordering something that has 15 different names. I've never understood. I really and truly have never understood that at all in any way, shape, or form. And then all of a sudden they were the first to have the app, and then you had the Christmas, and then you got the cup, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. If that's not entitlement, I mean, please, give me a break. But those people now are wising up, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Why am I paying $10 for this thing just because I'm cool? I'd be much more cool if I had that money in my pocket. And speaking of that, the best cup of coffee in the world, I think, many times is actually McDonald's. McDonald's has a really good coffee, and it's, I don't know what it is. It's $3 as opposed to $10 at Starbucks. So people are waking up to that. By the way, McDonald's does very good with breakfast now, not so much anything after breakfast. But anyway, there's all these different things that are going on in the restaurants and in the retail businesses, and it's all going to shift. It's all shifting. And yes, there will be massive amounts of restaurants going out of business. There will be massive amounts of coffee shops, massive amounts of fast food places. There will also be places that are doing very well, because there is another group of people coming up who are eating and drinking different things. Kava is a prime example. They're doing very well. Chipotle, one of my favorite companies, is doing very, very well. In fact, John, I can't pronounce his last name, Hatung, he just signed on to the board of directors as a chief financial officer over at Tesla, which I was delighted about because I'm a big fan of Tesla and I own Tesla stock. And in fact, I had CMG, I had Chipotle stock for years, for a long time. It did very well with it. If you know anything about that stock did very well. And I forget when it was priced, I think, at $1,400. I forget when it was. Don't ask me for the date. But I sold all of it and I purchased Tesla stock. I sold a lot of good companies and I moved all that money into Tesla because I'm a big fan of Tesla. Anyway, I digress. But anyway, he's gone over to Tesla now, which I'm delighted about. But that's a really good company. The other thing in the United States specifically is the fastest growing food segment in the United States right now is Mexican food, Hispanic food, you call it whatever you want. But it's basically, I'm going to refer to it as Mexican food. It's growing like wildfire. And it's growing obviously because the makeup of our population is certainly changing. And that's neither good nor bad. I'm not here to talk about any of that crap that you keep wanting to bring up for some stupid reason. But the reality is there's more of a demand for Mexican food now in the United States than there ever has been in history. As well as that, everyday regular Americans like Mexican food. It's become a thing. It's really, really, really extremely popular. Extremely popular. All you have to do is go look around you. Now, Taco Bell is not doing well, but their food was never that great, even though they don't do too bad. And I'm not knocking Taco Bell, but I'm talking about, you have El Chero, there's different chains that are coming up that serve really, really good Mexican food. And I'm not going to go through all of them here, or any of them, in fact. But just so you know, McDonald's, yes, they're struggling. but their time has passed. I would say McDonald's right now feel to me like they're almost like Denny's. You know, Denny's was huge. I used to go to different places and I'd be like, where's Denny's? Where is Denny's? I got to go to Denny's. Nobody goes to Denny's anymore, right? So McDonald's is kind of in that category. Look at Red Lobster. Red Lobster is gone. A lot of the full food service places are gone, and more of them are going to go. The town I'm living in now, there was a Ryan's restaurant. Remember Ryan's Family Steakhouse? Massive. They had these enormous buffets, enormous dessert bars. They're gone. In fact, just the other day I drove by the building. They're bulldozing the building. And there's some kind of a bowling alley, or I forget what it is. Maybe it's a bowling alley going in there. But things change. People move on. People change habits. Demographics are changing. You've got an aging population, and there's not enough young people coming up to support all these restaurants. So I can guarantee you, you go into McDonald's at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, 90% of the people that are in there are older people. It's an older demographic people. It's funny that some of them still have the playgrounds in the front. Playgrounds are empty. I don't even know why those playgrounds are still in there. I think part of the reason they're still in there is because what else are McDonald's going to do with them? It's not like they can sell the playground equipment, you know, on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. But anyway, listen, this is what's going on. It's going on in retail. It's going on in the restaurant business. It's going on in every industry. Everything is moving online, including social life. And I'm going to do a video on that, I promise you, any day now. Thanks for watching.